Good evening. Hi, everybody. I am Michael Lane. I am filling in for Tom, who is on the mission of mercy, helping a buddy out. So it is Sean and I this evening with our guest, Wes Fair. Been a pretty interesting day. I don't know if anybody's watching the news. Yeah, we had a couple things queued up, and yeah, we were prepared to talk about them. But in the last 3 hours, a whole bunch of stuff happened that is more interesting. So, yeah, we've got some links to follow and that are cool. But the stories at the top of the day push everything else to irrelevance. So we're going to talk about Jared Isaacman for a minute. And we're going to talk about the new administration's executive order that just came out about 5 hours ago. All right. And that's how we're going to start today. So let's get to it. Hey, y'all. I'm pretty sure you know by now that this show is sponsored by the Center for Space Commerce and Finance. So what precisely exactly is the Center for Space Commerce and Finance? We champion and strengthen emerging space startups and space-adjacent enterprises worldwide through advocacy, access, and advisory. Our pitch events and world-class boot camps fortify startups to be better investor-ready. A lot of our work, especially this podcast, is supported by our listeners and fans like you. Remember, the Center is a 501c3 nonprofit, and this is the time of year where everyone asks to dig deep. So our annual appeal letter is posted on the site, and we invite you to check it out on the news and blog section of the website. It's also linked here. I'm going to read off the URL, cscf.space/cscf-annual-appeal. So I know that that's long, but you can find all that stuff if you just go to the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, cscf.space. And we would love to have your support. And on that cheery note, let's bring in Sean Key, our normally behind the scenes podcast producer, but today he's helping out with the news and chatting with our guests. So come on in, Sean. Thanks, buddy.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How's things?
I feel like Igor's Frankenstein's assistant.
I feel like we have been talking all day long, man.
We pretty much have.
We had one marathon meeting for 2.5 hours, and we had another meeting for another hour. So,
but yeah, we talk about my favorite subject, which was money.
That's right. Money in space. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, we have a bunch of news we could go through, and we could zap that through pretty quickly. I want to make sure that we've got time for kind of the big news of the day, back-to-back Isaacman and the White House. So
I think that colors a lot, especially going forward.
Yeah.
Especially the big new shiny space bill or space executive order.
Right. Yeah. Let's blast through these other articles first and just zip through them.
Okay.
Curiously, Dr. Mosier, former chief scientist of Space Force, also posted something that's pretty interesting. So let's just zip through these quick, and then give us some time to chat. So we already know that they were looking to fast track Isaacman's confirmation. that happened. We're going to talk more about that. It's especially nice to see the lead Democrat from my state on board with this. So she's kind of terrific. So kind of nice to see that. I'm going to skip this one and move on to the next one,
which is
space debris looms over Google's ambitious orbital debris plan.
I would like to add a caveat to that. It looms over everybody.
It looms over everybody. Exactly. So, 6 months ago, data centers in space was the punchline of a joke. And in 6 months, I think primarily due to a guy, Philip Johnson, over at StarCloud, he legitimized that conversation. And now you're not a legit space player if you're not talking about data centers in space. So I know you've written some stuff about this. What do you think about that?
I'm skeptical about parts of it, and I'm optimistic about other parts. I don't see it as they see it, but I don't see it as some of the naysayers see it either. I see it's going to be something in between, it's a hybrid. Because there's really you can engineer around a lot of the problems. One of the big ones I know you can't engineer around is latency. You cannot travel faster than the speed of light. Nothing does. But you really, for like banking relies on immediate transactions. Mm-hmm. There's a time delay between satellites in here, and that's a problem that they will have to deal with and figure out around. You can't engineer around that problem. You have to come up with a different kind of system. So I look at it as maybe they'll do edge computing, data vaults for just storing data, not just data centers, but to store data. But it's exciting though, because I also see it as an opportunity. There's going to be a lot more funding coming into this industry.
There's tons.
And if you look at all the projections, and I've written about this, and I've seen it before, and I read it, they didn't account for this.
Nope. This one caught everybody off guard. Let me just read this paragraph here. Mm-hmm. Google's design envisions 81 satellites equipped with large solar panels flying in a formation only about 1 kilometer across, with neighboring nodes separated by less than 200 meters. This dense formation lets the spacecraft share data and divide AI workloads so that together they function like a single distributed brain in orbit. I wonder if the big smarty pants at Google know how space works, because that is shockingly hard what they are describing.
Yes,
shockingly hard.
Yes, and it is.
It would be great if we advance the state of technology where that is possible, but that is not possible today.
No.
And that's not counting dodging debris objects.
Yeah.
Like if all of space was back to October 3rd, 1957, the day before Sputnik, if all of space was that pristine, this tech would still not work.
Yeah.
They don't have the coordination capabilities. They don't have the minute thruster capabilities. They don't have the optical comms capabilities. All of that is very near term. All of that is within the realm of the possible, but it does not currently exist, and it is much harder given the debris environment.
Well, not only they're going to have to dodge debris, there's going to be more operators in space. They're going to have to maneuver and dodge them. Are we going to have space traffic controllers?
Yeah.
We're going to have to.
So I'm excited. I want to see Google pour money into this problem, because if they solve it, it makes everything easier. Space-based solar power gets possible. yeah, it really is a big win if they can solve it. So it's great getting Google involved with this, right?
And plus, we are going to need some sort of IT in space for in space operations anyway, coordination and all that.
Yep.
Not just that send signals back down to terraforma.
Right. All right, I'm going to try and move fast here, so I'm going to skip that one.
Okay.
Next one, power grid agreement for Loft Orbital and Starcatcher. So we're fans of Starcatcher. That's that's Andrew's company. He turned Made for Space into Redwire, shepherded it through an IPO, and now with his next act is working on Starcatcher. So pretty exciting to see with his pedigree and his background. That's pretty neat. His quote is a readily available utility scale power grid in space. It's a capability the entire industry needed yesterday. We are proud to partner with Loft. Providing Loft with on-demand power allows them to focus on mission performance rather than power limitations. Critical paradigm shift for the future of space operations. So this is in-space to in-space power, which honestly is kind of low-hanging fruit for this industry, and it's natural that Andrew would aim for that. So pretty neat. Pretty happy about that. I think that Starcatcher would be a good ally of Liftport, and our power requirements for the there. So that's kind of
conversation to have in the near future.
Yep, exactly right. All right, trying to be speedy here. This is like the fastest we've ever gone through space. All right, to me, this is a big deal. I think I stopped sharing. Can I stop sharing? Yeah.
Which one is it?
It's the quiet period for SpaceX.
Yes.
So, you can have all the speculation, but it's not real until they impose quiet period, right? So all the employees are restricted. SpaceX told him commenting on, discussing, or otherwise pumping up the company's plans for a public offering, including topics such as growth or valuation in accordance with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. That is super cool. It's not a real IPO until you start doing that piece of it. So
so they're definitely intending. The intent is there. They're going through the process. So, and from other sources I've read, they think they're going to get close to what they're looking for.
I'd love to see that. I would like, Bloomberg is the only one who's been able to confirm this 30 billion transaction that they're going to raise based on a $1.5 trillion
valuation
value. So I would like to see this number, those two numbers confirmed by more than one source. I have not yet seen that. Have you seen anything?
To be a little controversial,
yeah,
which I don't have a problem being. I have a mouth.
Right.
A big part of their income is Starlink. I mean, basically, the SpaceX is the bus, the shipping container for Starlink.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they come in that, and there was something else I read too, but I don't know if it's more than just a delivery system, SpaceX. It's also the satellite communications, the direct to sell that they contract they picked up. All those things play in hand. I agreed that they have a tremendous impact on the industry because of what they're doing. And I think kudos to the staff, the team, and everybody there. But I always had a problem with, hey, I'm a rocket company, but I make my money doing this.
Right.
There's something about it that just always. But then again, I don't see the prospectus. There's the quiet period. We have to go off what we can find out online and in records and stuff.
I think they're going to price data centers into their documents. I'm going to bet on that. And if they price data centers in with having 7,500 satellites in the sky, and now they're just going to add a chip and add some comms to it, I think investors are going to price that into the model. Yeah. So it's happening. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Moving on.
So much for that 1.8 trillion.
Next one. Okay. All right. Same vein, same topic. Raytheon, Boeing, Lockheed combined, the IPO is going to be bigger than those two companies. Are you good?
Still there? Yeah, I can hear you. You were locking up there. You're freezing.
I don't see anybody. Are you okay? Okay. All right. I was going to say was this new IPO is valued higher than RTX, used to be called Raytheon, RTX, Boeing, and Lockheed combined. That's
that's pretty impressive.
SpaceX, this is a quote from the article, SpaceX's projected valuation has reached a staggering $800 billion, a figure that eclipses the combined market capitalization of America's 6 largest defense contractors: RTX, Boeing, Lockheed, General Dynamics, Northrop Grumman, and the L3 Harris.
Yep.
Our RTX, Raytheon, used to be Raytheon, is $239 billion. Like that's astounding. It's astounding. So curious to see what happens after that. I'm going to get off of the SpaceX train here.
No, I don't. I mean, it's pretty much it is what it is. Good for them,
right? Yeah, good for them. I hope it works. I mean, I genuinely do. I know people that have early days stock, and they would love to see that, blossom into life for them. So, I know a lot of the early day staff at SpaceX. They're going to do quite well. All right, so here's news that's kind of big to me. VAST, the space station company VAST, is asking scientists for research proposals. I think that's something we should do at Liftport. They are looking at having it's a 14,000 kilo space lab, 31,000 pounds, is designed to accommodate crewed visits totaling up to 160 astronaut days on board before it's planned during its planned lifespan. So it's pretty neat. There's some killer videos about what this thing looks like. It's amazing that they just started in 2021. They have buckets of money behind them because the guy is a crypto billionaire. What's his name? I forget his name. So yeah, they are moving full speed ahead here. And they're looking for experiments to put on their system. So I think that would be something I would like to do. Any
Yep.
comments
I
there?
mean, I'm just looking at it. This is
I'm
one of the
gonna
stories. This is one of the
say
stories I just
again.
quickly glossed over. I said this is one of the stories I
Oh,
quickly glossed over.
sure. I'm gonna skip the next stuff and just go straight to the cool stuff. I think we have spent a lot of time talking about Jared Isaacman on this show, so I don't think we need to beat that to death. But you know, a result of Isaacman being confirmed. So that happened this morning, and then by the afternoon, the Trump administration issues an executive order, and I want to remind everybody that they also issued several executive orders during the first Trump administration that were quite effective and had a lot of influence over the industry. Um, the creation of National Space Council, of course, creating Space Force. But they also did a lot of other things like on space, OSAM, what's it? OSAM, on space assembly and manufacturing, focused on the moon. That's how we got the Artemis Accords. That's how we got the Artemis program in the first place. So, and then the Biden administration thought, wow, that's a pretty good space plan. Let's keep that. So, it's one of the few things that's been consistent over the last 10 years. And so this afternoon, a new policy came online. I'm going to read some of it and talk about some of this. Sean, chime in with whatever you want to say.
Okay.
So no surprise, there's always kind of some fluffy stuff in the front. I want to point out at the very end, the very last line is that the costs for publication of this order shall be borne by NASA. So to me, that says this is a direct consultation between the White House, between Trump and Isaacman, and so this is a reflection of what we can expect from NASA in the coming days, weeks, and months and years. So first, leading the world in space exploration. Critically important, line number 2, 1A, returning Americans to the moon by 2028. So that is the first time we've seen an actual number in a while. There were some numbers during the first Trump administration. Those numbers kind of got blown out, so that didn't happen. But this is a direct reflection on the Chinese program, which is saying, before 2030, and most people think they are aiming for 2028 because it's one of their national anniversaries. So I think that's pretty interesting. And then the very next line, establishing a permanent lunar outpost by 2030, so just 2 years later, that would imply that the first piece, the landing, does not have to be a sustainable piece of architecture. Are you reading that the same way?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's not. It's just a touch and go. I mean, it can just be a touch and go. But getting there. I mean, you got to kind of do that. You can't just go up there and we're here. And you haven't been there since before I was born, or roughly,
right?
Since I was a baby.
Since you were a baby, yeah, you were still in diapers.
Yeah. So, yeah, you got.
There is some fair language in here about Iron Dome, Golden Dome, however you want to call it. I'm going to skip that because I think people are probably not as interested there. Let's not have nuclear weapons in space. I think that's really good to see. Since we already suspect that Russia has violated that. That's going to be interesting. There's so much language about accelerating acquisition reform, integrating commercial space capabilities, enabling new market entrants. Um, I did a very deep dive. It's probably 9 years ago, 8 years ago. That wasn't that long. 5 years, 2020. I did a very deep dive into the Trump administration's first sets of space policies. It's on our YouTube channel, probably August or September of 2020. It's boring, but it's interesting to kind of connect those dots. Here's one: fostering economic growth, attracting at least 50 billion of additional money into the sector. I was curious, so I pulled this up. This is this year's money into the sector. It's $32 billion and 194 companies just this year in the United States alone. A lot of that has been the IPOs, but still, we're doing fine. So he didn't really have to hit one out of the park very far to get that $50 billion of new money coming in. But it's already in place. It's already happening in the industry. If he had made this 250, I don't think that would have been too small. So I think this was a little wussy. And I think his advisors are not telling him the whole story, which sucks.
But if you already have it in place, then it's easier to decrease or increase than just have to set a new program for it.
Yep. I like pushing commercial pathways to replace the ISS. I hope that they don't have any delays there. Nuclear power on. Okay, this is good. This is important. Enabling near-term utilization of space nuclear power by deploying nuclear reactors on the moon and in orbit, including the lunar surface, ready for launch by 2030. So I'm a little disappointed because they pulled back from that. Somebody said 2028 a few years ago, but we've had a year of inaction at NASA, so that does really force the delay. I really do wonder what they're going to do about streamlining NASA to meet these goals. And there's a lot of requirements at the bottom of this that we're not going to get into, but it's worthwhile. I love this language about utilizing improved business approaches such as firm fixed price contracts and as a service model for both ground and space-based segments. This language would have been impossible just 5 years ago. Absolutely impossible. So this is a giant change, and I'm going to give credit to the space industrial base meetings that the folks in New Mexico run, because this has been circulating for years now, and it's now bubbling up to the level of executive policy. So it is cool to see that. Orbital debris, we just talked about that. That's super important. Here's one I didn't expect. Terrestrial and cislunar position, navigation, and timing. I don't know if our friend Joe is on the call today, but that's a big deal that that they particularly called out cislunar PNT. I can't find it right now, but there's also a section about weather. Space weather is in here as well.
Mission Space. Our friends at Mission Space.
Right, exactly. I was thinking about Mary, exactly.
Yeah, so, she did post about that too.
Yeah, no, it's so there's a lot in here, and I just skimmed the surface. Oh, apparently I'm not sharing the right damn page. Here we go. I'm sorry. I was still sharing the Space Investor one. $50 billion. Commercial pathway to replace ISS. um, uh, where is it? Getting a nuke on the moon by 2030, hopefully faster, and in orbit, right? So it's not just on the moon, but also in orbit.
Yeah.
Firm fixed price contracts and as a service model. Um, Ground, space, and lunar infrastructure and setting the standards that enable this robust industrial base. I'm going to skip it from there and move on, but pretty interesting. The kind of implementation plan pulls in a lot of folks I don't know. I don't know what the assistant to the president for science and technology is. That's a new one on me. American Space Nuclear Power Initiative is a new thing to me. I don't know what that is. But the Space Transportation Policy Act and things like that are Office of Management and Budget are involved. NASA's involved. Department of War, Director of National Intelligence, National Security Affairs. All of this stuff, they're pulling in a bunch of stuff into NASA that wouldn't normally be there. So that's interesting to me. And that's it. That's all I got. I mean, I could talk about it for hours, but do you got anything you want to add to it?
No, it just looks like it's the part that really interests me is how you can read in the language that they were engaging more with the industry outside of the Beltway and trying to cut some of the bureaucracy that was built into the system. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff coming down the pipe. I think this is like between this and Isaacman, we got steroids going to the system. So we're going to have a really bulky, buff space program going forward.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring in our guest. What does he have to say today?
All right. Well, our guest, of course, is Mr. Wes Fairs.
Let me answer some questions. I only just saw them. I was looking at the other screens. Hey, y'all. Thanks for joining today. Yeah, Doug, Dr. Plata, Isaacman is a strong supporter. On a different piece, on a different article, there was some interesting. So the New York Times had a really interesting article about Isaacman and compared him to Dan Golden during his early days, because Dan had to kind of cross a hostile Congress, but he was able to navigate almost 10 years across a couple different administrations. So the New York Times article is pretty interesting. It says that, look, Isaacman is taking on a pretty hostile work environment. NASA's staffing has been cut by more than 4,000 people. A lot of people are retiring early. A lot of people are retiring because whether they want to or not. A lot of people are bailing. So he definitely is coming into it's not a sinking ship by any means, but there are holes, and he has to fix those holes. He has to fix some of these problems. But he's been very clear about, yes, a sustainable presence, more than flags and footprints, and not necessarily tying the moon program to the Martian program. That part of the problem, one of the frustrations I've shared with you before, Doug, is that it's always been called the Moon and the Mars program as if they were in sync, and by decoupling them, you can build stuff for Mars that is separate from going to the Moon, and that will probably speed up progress for both, I think.
And open up other things. Even going further into the asteroid belt or out over to Venus,
Right. Yeah.
these companies. And speaking of asteroid belts, let's bring our guest on to talk about the Asteroid Mining Corporation, Wes Ferris.
Yep.
Hi guys. Nice segue.
Yeah, I knew that was going to go long. I'm sorry for that.
That's all right.
Thanks for being patient. Well, so introduce yourself a little. Give us your background, your origin story, and let's get into it.
Okay. I'm going to burn through this a little quicker than usual because I did this last time, but so it's a truncated version. But I'm Wes Ferris. I've been kind of a boots on the ground advocate for property rights in outer space for, I'd say, nearly 2 decades. I started by doing a test claim of ownership to the 3 stars of Orion's belt. I had heard stories about people trying to get some kind of clarification of the Outer Space Treaty as relates to private property rights, and I thought everybody was doing it wrong. So I looked at what had been done at that point, and so I filed a claim of ownership to the 3 stars of Orion's belt, starting on a county level. So it was recorded, and then looked for, since there was no there's no legislation or no court over what to do at the time. I spent the next few years trying to search out the competent authority. I had seen people try to sue, take space claims to court, trying to get jurisdiction out of a court that couldn't give it. So my goal was to get an answer from a competent authority, and do it in such a way that the answer was, okay, we see that you've claimed ownership of a celestial body, but we can't really grant or deny this, but we can say it's no violation of the Outer Space Treaty. That's what I went. It took all the way up to the State Department level. But when I finally found the competent authority and asked it the right way, just to to not embarrass them on the international level, I got what I wanted. But that wasn't really good enough, because in so doing, I had traced the source of this to the United Nations Committee on Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. So I managed to worm my way in there as a private sector entity, and this is back in 2008. So, like, at the time, in that room, the concept of a non-government was just like completely alien. Right. But then that still wasn't good enough, and so I kept pursuing that. And now, fast forward, the doors seem to be kicked open even further for participation by the private sector in those UN meetings. And I just round that out by saying, since the Orion's Belt claim, I've taken it towards the solar system by claiming asteroid 160346 and the hill sphere surrounding that. I've done 5 of these test claims and went through the same administrative confirmation of non-violation process in about 5 different countries.
All right.
So, and now there's, now we see laws being written favorably. I still don't think that's good enough. But I know you beat space property rights to death, but there's some next steps there. But that's a fine. How do you do?
No, that's pretty good. So you're in limbo over 3 stars. So no one has said you can't have it, but it currently doesn't violate the treaty. So that's in limbo, but it's not a no, right? You got to kind of take that win. It's not a no.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty neat.
Unless they say go get it.
Right. Now you have to go get it. What's the status of the 5 asteroids that you're aiming for?
Asteroid 160346. To further test this, I claimed it as an LLC.
Okay.
And so, yeah, because the question is if a private citizen is free and clear, what about corporations? So in the foundational articles of organization for Space Rights LLC, and it's a single member company consisting of just me. I took it through the same process, except for closer into Earth. Got the same, it made the same contacts, got the same confirmation of non-violation,
Yep. Okay.
and so just pretty much cleared a path for non-governmental entities. And so yeah, I think it's really important that if no nation under the Outer Space Treaty can annex or make their own claims to uh, beyond national borders in outer space, the laws for anybody else haven't been written yet.
Right.
So I thought it was really important to just get it not know, and prove the negative over and over and over again
Right. Yeah.
until this gets righted.
Right on. All right. Fingers crossed. All right. Well, then, how does that lead us to asteroid mining? All right. Does your company own the rights? Did you pursue it? Is that the asset that your company has?
This was a test claim under an LLC that I made just to do that. So
Okay.
with Asteroid Mining Corporation, we haven't. There's been no claim issued yet. So I've dealt with the other. They say possession is 9/10 of the law. I wanted to make sure the other 1/10 of the law is covered over and over again before I get there.
Just give enough precedent.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, go ahead, Sean.
So, I mean, you own this asset of this LLC as a private owner. So, where are the assets that the mining corporation has, and where are the projections go forward?
I'd say, Pat, the biggest asset we have is space-capable asteroid robotic explorer. So it's a 6-legged hexapedal climbing robot. Patent pending, provisional patent already filed, so there's IP there. But I sent you a video of it actually walking. We've got a prototype. We've tested it on different terrain, and
did you send it in my email?
I think I sent it in the private chat.
Oh, okay. I'll go back and check. I'll pull it up here.
So instead of wheeled rovers, which run into rocks and run into problems, this can do some gymnastics to where it climbs up and over and down into lava tubes and up over rocks. The tech is really solid there. It's been it was developed at Tohoku University in Japan. It's been tested and retested, and I wish we could pull up that video. I could explain a little bit more about it, but
I'll just put the link in the chat again if you do it for me, please.
Okay. 1 second. Yeah, I'll do that right about there. It is. This is just like a 2-minute video of just a walking demonstration. So we're pretty much the shovel. We're pretty much the shovel.
All right. Let me start then.
Yeah. I got.
All right.
Thank you. No surprises there.
Sean,
and that's it for the video.
Audio's going through.
As long as you see it moving.
Yep, moving it.
Yeah.
Good.
So
where's the test at? This looks Martian, except for all the footsteps on the ground. Where is this?
It's just a testing ground right outside the university in Japan.
Okay,
it's
cool.
So that's the concept.
Yeah,
it's not like
our guy Jason's like, yeah, it's a spider. I'm like, yep, that's exactly right. It's a spider.
So we're the shovel. And we need a ride. Pretty much.
Okay.
It's modular, so it can There's inputs and outputs to grip and add on to, and these are just test feet, I would say, but there's magnetic feet, there's claw gripper feet that go onto it as well. So
It's pretty cool.
yeah,
What size is that?
I'd say it's about the size of it's about the size of like your desk right now. I'd say it's about 3 feet. Well, if you spread all the way out,
Right.
it would be about it would be about 6 feet across. But as it stands right now, like
Okay.
I'd say three by 3 feet wide from leg to leg and 2 feet high.
Now,
Like,
is the plan to scale that size up once you get all the?
the plan is to scale it to whatever the market calls for. So that's just the Mark One. Um,
Work
so
on. It could work on the moon, Mars.
right. So then that's gonna be the first test use case of something like this. Is gonna be the easy target. So it goes moon and then and then near Earth asteroids. Um,
So why asteroid mining? All due respect, what is different now than 2012, 13, 14 when Deep Space Industries and
Planetary resources.
Planetary Resources were online? I know a lot of backstory about them. By the way, I really dig your robot. I'm just
Yeah.
it's gonna space capable asteroid robotic explorer, aka Scary. It's frightening. um, so yeah, what's different now is that like it's not. It's just now we're now finally arriving to the point where it's feasible. We've had um, we've had in the past year, so we've actually had a private sector piece of technology landed on the moon, which was Intuitive
Right.
Machines.
Yep.
The market wasn't ready back then. It's not stupid anymore, basically. Like
Okay.
the market wasn't really ready back then, and all we could do back then is prospect. But now that you've had Hayabusa, I think it was Hayabusa 1 or 2,
Yep.
have the return sample mission. I think it's ready to go forward. I'm guessing your next question would be like, what's the point about dragging minerals back to Earth? But if you want to,
Well, I was gonna before I got to that, I was gonna ask the money question, right? Because there's a show about money in space.
sure.
Uh, so Planetary Resources had 4 billionaires publicly backing them. Now, it's not fair to say that they were writing checks a lot because they were not. They wrote
And the government of Luxembourg too.
right, yeah, right,
Yeah.
and the government of Luxembourg. We talked about them last week. They put in consistently. They're up north of $500 million in investment into space companies. So Luxembourg has been a big player. They're trying to do more, and they have been for a while. But so really the question is, okay, it didn't work for a lot of reasons then. You didn't really answer why it's going to work now. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot and be a jerk about it, but I would like to know what's different, that it's different now.
Well, the concept of back then it was about prospecting. So I believe that Planetary Resources plan was just to send a beacon and take some pictures.
Yeah, right.
And we've been cleared on the tech part. We've been cleared on set the precedent of a private sector mission being face forward. So if you might not think it's that much different, but to me it's pretty it's monumental. And there's more private sector. I mean, you got to agree. There's a lot more private sector
Sure.
input, like by scales, and then there was
I mean, we are getting restarted. Liftport is getting restarted because there's a lot of money in the sector, and we think that there's value in going after it. But
I'd still should say that it's before the obvious um, design flaw in the hauling back or redirecting an asteroid. Like it's more going to be about harnessing the minerals that are right there in place.
okay.
That are easy to extract, or are you going to have to be able to drill, or
Like the polymetallic minerals that are right there, so you could use it for what you're doing right there. Like far in the future, yeah, like I mean, it could ultimately end strip mining on Earth if we do this right. But
I love that. Yeah. No,
but for now, it's about sitting up and like taking advantage of the resources that are right there that are just
taking a dustpan and a broom and scooping it up, sweeping it on there.
I've said to people that we're just gonna spacesuit and a shovel, and that's what it's gonna take to start mining on the moon.
Well, Jason got a couple questions.
yeah.
Two of them really. Is the plan? Is there any part of it going to be printable in the future? And is this a multi-use type of mining tool?
Yes, and yes. Yeah. So like as a, of course, I think everybody. I'm going to skip over the 3D printing question and just say yes. Like, I mean, ultimately, the plan is to not get there. But sorry. The I got 3D. What was the second? Sorry, before I get ahead of myself. Multi-use, yes. So right now it's got some terrestrial applications. We've tested it on shipping holes and places where humans don't want to go. So there's really some maritime shipping applications.
Okay. So you do have some terrestrial applications.
Yes, so which we've tested. We've tested it on shipping grounds. We've tested it in holes. Another one that we have not tested yet, but would be, for example, a nuclear facility, where
to do inspections,
where you wouldn't, for inspections like that. We haven't. That hasn't been a test use case yet.
Okay.
Cool.
So yeah, the question we kind of dodged a while ago was, are we going to use these resources in space, or are you planning on reentry, working with some of the reentry companies out there? Sean's written a lot about reentry. That's one of the key openers of the frontier, is to be able to reentry. So what do you plan to do once you got a rock and you've picked something off of it?
Well, a little bit of both. It depends on if the rock is infused with the same kind of polymetallic base that you see from the deep sea rocks, then you can use it as it's worth bringing back. But for largely, then the Occam's razor step is to see what you could do right around where you just landed. I think that going back to the intersection of space and money, if a mission like this gets off the ground and gains more interest, the more interest there is. We were talking about the possibility of, and this is one of those 25-year things, but some kind of futures exchange to as a basis to keep this going more.
Why don't you we only have a few more minutes, but why don't you give a background on what you mean by a futures exchange?
Okay, so with the way the commodity futures market works on Earth, or at least here, Um, the the concept, the prospecting and speculative market, the interest in the market kind of drives it. So with with oil, with I'm just going to say wheat and pork bellies.
Mhm.
You don't actually have to have those in hand, but you know it's an infinite possibility, and that's used to drive the not only does it help the farmers, but it drives the market as a whole. I
Mhm.
think that's a good gateway step
The
between
hedge
like.
price, the futures market is like a hedge price on
Thank you.
commodities.
Right.
Where commodities exchange hand at the end, but for a lot of people, they can hold the contract for the people reviewing. You can hold a contract and never touch the commodity, and then sell your
Right.
contract, and that's how some traders make money. So I see what you're saying about a futures market, but the idea is eventually it's going to exchange hand at some time or another. The commodity.
You could actually like it's not going to be a ghost market. Eventually, you'll be able to take delivery of the actual
Right. Yeah.
physical
No,
product.
Right.
no, that will work, especially when you have several nations up in space or several groups of bodies up in space trying to construct spaceships, space hubs. You know, mining for resources for in situ or any of that stuff. And now you got only a futures market for the space industry and the space industry. And then if you bring it back to Earth, then you also have that access, especially with down mass.
So one of my next goals right before that happens is to get confirmation from different nations that such a market and the establishment of it wouldn't be a violation of the Outer Space Treaty.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not taking possession.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
They're only buying your resource. So you would have customers.
I've been a big fan of the futures market idea for quite a while. I even went so far as to register a company and start looking into building the assets for it. It's a fascinating idea. The regulations definitely are complex. It's a couple $1 million to get
Yep.
registered as a broker, as an exchange. But I really think there's a real business there, and it funds big ideas like yours, big ideas like ours. I can imagine this scenario playing out, and Sean and I have talked about this before. You know, you put out a contract for a kilo of platinum and backed by your company, and it might be a nickel. It might be, I'm going to not use a metal. It might be a dime. It might be a dime, that contract for a kilo of platinum, which if you had a kilo of platinum in the world, that's a lot of platinum, right? I don't know what the spot price for platinum is, but it ain't, it's more than a dime, right? But then, okay, you identify an asteroid that maybe looks like it's got markers for platinum. Suddenly, your kilo of platinum is worth 35 cents. Like, that's a big win for the early investors, gamblers. And then you build a spacecraft, and now it's worth 70 cents. Like, you can see that progression. But then your spacecraft blows up on launch, so now you're back down to 3 cents because people are like, oh, too bad for asteroid mining. And they're out, and so people have lost. But then you get back in the game and you reconstruct the company and you reconstruct the satellite. And all of those are bankable assets that can fund this industry. So I really love I really love the idea of a futures market for this industry. It's
I also like the options market idea too. So
yeah.
But,
so all right, what does the next 5 years and 25 years look like?
Can I go backwards? Within the next 25 years, commodity futures integration listed on the Chicago Board of Trade
Awesome.
with, of some sort. I mean, if Bitcoin, if it's been done for Bitcoin, it could be done for like physical assets. In the next 5 years, I'd like to see the gap filled on the on on the on surface and subsurface rights for private entities. And I'd like to have everybody on board saying that the law just hasn't been written yet, but it hasn't been forbidden. Let's start doing that. If the results of the Committee on Peaceful Uses of Outer Space under the United Nations Working Group on Space Resources go well, maybe we can have like this kind of confirmation across many different nations, just to clear that out. If that makes any sense.
It does. It does. All right. Well, thanks a lot, sir. Appreciate it. It's very illuminating to having you on our show. And with that, I'm going to close us out here. Stick around after the show. Let's chat for a second.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a good holidays, everybody.
Yep.
Onward and upward. Thank you.
Right on. Right on. For Sean Key and Tom Olson, I'm Michael Lane signing off. We'll see you next week. We've got a
mystery guest.
We've got a mystery guest on Monday. We are not having a show on Christmas, so sorry.
I have family that likes me, so I'm gonna go see them.
All right. With that, I'm signing off. Have a good night, y'all. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.